Hi, my name's Kaylee. Welcome to it looks like under 30-minute now, gentle yoga practice. I'm recording this at the end of 2022. So the aim of this class, the intention of this class is to give a little bit of space for us to kind of say goodbye and thank you to 2022 and think about what we might want to let go of, what we might want to leave behind, what we might want a little bit less of in the year to come, as well as what we might want to start to invite in or what we might feel ready for 2023. So it doesn't have to be a grand, sweeping, very ambitious goal or resolution. It's just a space to kind of sit with those questions. What would you like to have a little bit less of in 2023 and a little bit more of in 2023? What are you ready for? So meet me in a seat when you are ready. Close the eyes down. Bring that inquiry into your heart space. If it helps you to actually restate those questions to yourself, maybe even bring a hand onto your heart. What am I ready to say goodbye to? What do I want to invite a little bit more of? What do I want to feel in the next 12 months ahead? And just start to breathe some space around those questions. It's fine if you don't have any kind of clarity around an answer just yet. Sometimes just being in that space of inquiry and staying curious with yourself is a really beautiful act of trust that the answers will come, they'll find their way to you. And so you can sit up a little taller. If you've got your hand on your heart, can you lift the sternum, the heart space up into that hand without straining? One more big breath here. And then let it go. You blink the eyes open. Bring one hand down outside of your hip and just reach the other arm across. Doesn't matter which side you start with. And then swap it out. So we'll just get a really easy, gentle flow going. No need to be real rigid about this. There's not a specific right way to do it. As long as you're not hurting yourself, just explore the sensation in the top rib, the top underarm. Maybe push into the bottom hand a little bit to find a little bit more of that stabilization from the ground. I've got a dog in the way, but this is not something that you really need a lot of visual cue on. The next time you're over to one side, go ahead and pause there. Bend the top elbow and look up. Stretch the top arm long and look down towards your bottom thumb. Couple more times like that. Bend the elbow, take the eyes up, straighten the arm, take the gaze down. Just a little row. So it can be as active or as gentle as you're needing. If you need a little bit of like energy in the body, you could imagine that you're moving through water here, kind of pulling through resistance. Sometimes that feels really good, and other times maybe you just want to take it nice and easy. Soften through the top shoulder, the top elbow, the top wrist. Let's take that top arm long one more time. And then sweep the hands in front of your shins, taking a forward fold. Bow the chin, maybe you come down onto the elbows or the forearms. Maybe you have a creature that's very open to being pet here. And breathe into the back of your body. And see if you can send some breath into the back side of the lungs, the sides of the ribs, maybe even into the kind of area around your kidneys and your adrenal glands, down in the sides of your mid to lower back. And start to walk the hands back, lift the head, the neck, the chest up. And then bring yourself into that side bend on the other side that you haven't done yet. So do the same thing here, bend that top elbow, take the eyes up, straighten the top arm and take the gaze down, just moving between those two. Again, you have the option to make this more challenging by imagining that you're moving, maybe even through like wet cement. Or you can keep it nice and soft and just move like you're a feather moving through air. At the same time as you're mobilizing that top arm, getting a little bit of movement in the neck, finding a little bit of cervical rotation, not forcing anything at all here. Take that top arm long one more time. Big breath into that upper side of the body, that rib cage over there. And then sweep the hand back down. Walk both of your hands back behind you. So we're going to take a little back bend. Come onto the fingertips here. Press the chest forward, roll the shoulders down. So you might even do that a couple times and just feel the shoulders move away from the spine and then toward the spine. A couple times like that, and then pull the shoulders toward the spine, drag them down away from your ears. As much as it feels comfortable to do so, you tilt the chin upward. And that might mean keeping the head totally level today. Just play around with it. It feels good to open up the front of the throat and stretch to the front of the neck. And breathe into that space. Keep reaching the crown of the head away from your sternum so that lower abdominals are gently engaged here to support the back bend. A nice long inhale. And then chin to chest, walk the hands forward. Meet me on all fours, on your hands and your knees. Spread out the fingers a bit, wag the hips side to side. You might even bring the knees. Let's bring the knees all the way together, bring the feet all the way together, and then just shift the hips side to side. Stay strong through the arms. So getting a little bit maybe of oblique activation, side waist. Come through the center. Go ahead and separate the knees to hips distance, and then circle the shoulders over the wrists. Press into the finger pads and the heels of your hands. Try and stay long in the low back. And then let's switch the direction of those shoulder and wrist circles. Nice long relaxed breaths in and out through the nose. You can open your mouth for an exhale anytime you want, anytime it feels natural. Come through the center. Go ahead and slide the knees back a little bit so that you can lower the hips all the way down. Separate your feet to about max distance, and then just wiggle the heels side to side. Maybe shimmy the hips side to side. Prop yourself up onto your forearms. And then again, lengthen the crown of the head away from the sternum. So we're creating a little bit of space in the sides of the neck. We're going to mobilize the head and the neck gently. Anytime we move around through the neck, we're helping to regulate the vagus nerve. So we'll start by looking from shoulder to shoulder. A gentle shake of the head, no. Go nice and slow, and maybe you stay inside of the shoulders. So we're not cranking the neck to its maximum range of motion. We're just looking for the smoothest possible rotation of those top vertebrae, those upper cervical vertebra that hold the skull, that hold the brain, that can sometimes get real compressed and contribute to things like tension, headaches. So being gentle. One more time, side to side. And then pause, bring the head through center. Just take a moment there. And then we're going to nod the chin toward the chest. And tip the chin up. Taking it down and up. Slow, gentle nod of the head, yes. Feel free to let the eyes close or soften. If you start to feel dizzy, slow it down even more. Couple more nods of the head, relaxing the muscles in the cheeks, bring some awareness into your mouth, decompress a little bit more around the lips, relax the back molars so they're not touching. And come through the center. Last one, and bring your right ear toward your right shoulder. And then switch, left ear, left shoulder. Taking it side to side, again, not straining. Just a gentle rock of the head side to side. Relaxing around the temples. Smoothing out across the forehead. And come through the center, take a breath. And then make a little pillow for your forehead by stacking the palms. You can drop the head down. I'm going to turn mine to the side so that my voice isn't too muffled. Just notice the sensation in your spine from your tailbone all the way up through between the shoulder blades, up to the back of the neck, maybe into the scalp, the skull. Any residual sensations after all of that mobilization of the head and the neck and that extension in the low back. You can keep the head down if that feels comfy, but bring the feet a little closer together. So feet will be straight back away from the hips. We're going to take a quad stretch here. Bring your right forearm parallel to the top of your mat. Bend your left knee and then reach back with your left hand, catching the left foot. You can drop the forehead toward that right forearm, or you can lift the head up. And tuck the tailbone a tiny bit. Maybe you lift the left knee if you're not feeling much sensation in the front of the left thigh. We're trying to get into that left quad. Remember, it doesn't have to be a big, deep sensation to be productive. You can also play around depending on the range of motion that you have, pressing the left toes down toward the outer edge of the left hip. If your teeth start to clench up, it's a good sign you've gone too far. So the key with these intentions, as well as with our bodies, is to create just enough stimulation to produce some positive change without overwhelming any of our systems. So I like to think about, if you are somebody who sets a New Year's resolution, what is the smallest version of that resolution? Like something that almost feels too small, that it would be so easy. And see if you can just commit to working on that. So in the case of this stretch, what's the smallest amount of sensation that you can observe, that you can trust, that you can breathe into, that you can believe is helping create a little bit of relief in that left quad and knee and hip? Take one more big breath. And then without slingshotting that foot and leg, gently release that left leg down, maybe drop the head down. You can keep the legs still and straight, or you might kind of waggle the heels in and out. Maybe bend the knees and windshield wiper the shins. And then we're just going to take that stretch on the other side. I'm going to turn around so that I can turn my head to the other direction. So this time, left forearm comes across the top, bend the right knee, bring that right foot in. The knees are pointing back from the hips. So if that right knee is jutting way out, go ahead and try and slide it back in a little bit, just so that you can find length in the front of the right thigh. So right down through the middle, through that central right quadricep muscle. And then come back to that idea of what's the minimum effective version of this stretch? What would be the minimum effective version of a resolution or a change that you might want to be making for the year ahead? I like the expression that change is a direction that we move in, it's not a destination. And the message that it's way, way better to work on a small shift, something that we feel like we can really be successful in, than to aim super high and to actually have nothing change because we get so discouraged. 2 more cycles of breath here. Give yourself 1 more long breath. And then gently release that stretch. Lower the chest down, lower the right leg down. Feel any of that rebound sensation, the bounce back through the knees, the thighs. You can let the legs be still, or just like on the other side, you could move the feet around, windshield wiper the shins. And when you're ready, come up to hands and knees. Cross it back to a gentle child's pose just for a breath or 2. We're going to set up for half pigeon on the right. This isn't necessarily a stretch that works out for everybody's body. So if half pigeon isn't your thing, don't worry, I'll give you another option. If half pigeon works for you, you can either come from hands and knees to work your way there, or you might come from downward facing dog if that's more comfortable, but bring the right knee forward toward the right wrist. You can inch your right foot over toward the left as you stretch the left leg back. Stay lifted for a moment. So this is called swan pose in yin yoga. We're bringing that spinal extension back into the low back. Let the chest melt forward, but pull the arm bones back. Maybe even traction your fingers and bend the elbows a bit. So the shoulders move toward the spine. I know that's kind of an intense version. And then start to walk it into a forward fold. Hopefully it feels like a nice relief. If half pigeon's your jam, stay there, hang out, breathe into the sensations in your body. If it feels uncomfortable in the knees, your other option is to come into deer pose. So you can see I just shifted by bending the left knee and bringing it up toward the right foot. You can turn toward your right knee and then walk the arms forward. You might bring the arms toward the right shin. You might come out toward the right knee, experiment a little bit, and then settle into your version of that outer right hip and thigh stretch. And whether the eyes are open or closed, see if you can soften the muscles around them a little bit more. Let that softness spread through the face, through the entire head. Let the head be heavy, whether it's on the ground or not. You can always make a little pillow by stacking your fists, or maybe just bring a little pillow over if you've got something nearby so that you can drop the weight of the head down. Just a couple more moments on this side. Maybe lengthen your breath just a little bit. Lengthen the exhale. When you're ready, start to walk the hands back, lift the chest up. And then we'll bring both legs around to the front. Stretch your legs out a little bit. You can keep the knees bent or you can straighten them out. I'm going to bend the knees a little bit and then just windshield wiper the knees side to side. Go ahead and straighten the legs out. Let's reach the arms up, bring some length into the upper body, let the rib cage lift away from the pelvis and the hip points, and then fold forward. Totally fine to bend the knees. In fact, I like to slide my forearms underneath the knees. Some folks, you might choose to reach for your feet. Just notice, right, if you are reaching for your feet, why? Does it feel really good? Or is there some sort of arbitrary alignment that you're seeking? And be curious about why. No judgment about it if you really want to be able to touch your toes and you're working on that. Zero judgment about that goal, but just notice what it means for you. And see if you can trust that your body, you are enough exactly as you are. That yoga is really not about fixing or changing. It's not even about improving. It's about settling into the truth of our essential nature. Like our true nature is that we're already whole, we're already complete. And when we align ourselves with that essential nature, any kind of behavioral issues or weird habits that we have that aren't aligned with that truth, they just fall away. So it's not an efforting, it's just a settling into the truth of who we are. When you're ready, start to lift up. We'll take half pigeon on the other side, or deer pose. So left knee will come forward, either in your pigeon pose or in your deer, and stay upright in the chest for just a couple breaths. As you remain upright, feel that you're lengthening the spine here. So as the spine lengthens, we have a little bit more to work with when you're ready to lock it into your forward fold. Remember, your option is deer, sliding the right knee forward. And if you're feeling sensation as you settle in the outer edge of the left hip and thigh, it's a good indication that you've found a version of this stretch that's doing exactly what it's meant to do. The last few moments in your stretch on this side, let's see if you can scan your body, notice any pockets where you feel gripping or holding. And if it's possible, see if you can create a little bit of space or softness around those areas. And when you're ready, start to walk the hands back, lift the chest up. Bring your right leg forward, bend both knees, bring your hands behind the knees for a little bit of support. Around the back, chin to chest, roll it down onto your back, nice and slow. When you land on your back, gotta move my ponytail out of the way. When you land on your back, bring the head down, bring both of your knees into your chest. Remember, squeeze as gentle or as tight as you need. You might rock side to side. And then bring the legs into a tabletop position. So 90-degree angle in the knees and the hips. Reach the left arm out. Drop the knees to the right, taking a spinal twist here. And bring your awareness down into your tailbone. See if you can bring the breath a little bit lower down into the spine. And then take the twist to the other side. And when you're ready, unwind into a final resting state for a brief shavasana, somewhere where you can let go of any efforting in the body, where you can relax the breath, just let it do its thing, let the body be breathed instead of trying to control the flow of energy in any way. You can shift around a little bit until you find a version of a resting state that feels like you really can drop in. So you entrust the floor underneath you to hold you. And you let all of the points where the body's touching the floor become just a little bit heavier. Imagine that the body is just kind of melting into the surface beneath it. So the boundary between your skin and the floor starts to blur a little bit. We'll be here for just under a minute. And listen for my voice shortly to close. Bring some very small, slow movement into the body, maybe nodding the head side to side gently. Point the toes or circle the ankles or the wrists. Roll over to one side, pausing in the fetal position for a moment, letting your body adjust to that posture, and then using your top hand to press yourself up to a seat. And when you land, bring your hands back to your heart and come back into that just inquiry with yourself. What do you want a little bit less of in the next 12 months? And what are you looking to cultivate a little bit more of? What are you ready for? Take a big breath in as you sweep the arms out and up, gathering in all of that good energy, all of that inspiration, all of that readiness and willingness. And then pull it right down into your heart space as you exhale. Thanks for sharing some time with me. If you are catching this practice on or around the new year, Happy New Year. Hope it's a good one.